Zelensky.
Welcome
Okay,
back.
there we go. Okay. So I'm sure you guys all saw the clips from the explosive interview that Donald Trump had with Vladimir Zelensky, but I don't know how many of you guys have actually seen the whole thing all the way through. So I figured I would go ahead and react to this whole thing and give you my thoughts on the situation. This is uploaded directly from the White House themselves. This is called President Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in Oval Office, February 28th, 2025. And not a terrible like-dislike ratio either.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have President Zelensky of Ukraine. And we've been working very hard, very close. And we've actually known each other for a long time. We've been dealing with each other for a long time and very well. We had a little negotiation spat, but that worked out great. I think for both countries, I think for the world, actually, beyond both countries. And we have something that is a very fair deal. And we look forward to getting in and digging and working and getting some of the rare earth.
So the interesting thing is the way he's speaking, it makes it seem like the deal was already basically agreed upon. Zelensky just needed to sign it.
But it means we're going to be inside, and it's a big commitment from the United States, and we appreciate working with you very much. And we will continue to do that. We have had some very good discussions with Russia. I spoke with President Putin, and we're going to try and bring this to a close. It's something that you want and that he wants. We have to negotiate a deal. But we've started the confines of a deal, and I think something can happen. The big thing is the number of soldiers, mostly at this point, but soldiers being killed. They're losing thousands of soldiers. On both sides, we're losing a lot of soldiers, and we want to see it stop. And we want to see the money get put to different kinds of use, like rebuilding.
I like how Zelensky is squirming. Notice that he's nodded on other moments. But when it comes to complaining about how many Ukrainian soldiers have died and spending money in different ways, he is not happy.
But we've started the confines
Shifting
of a deal,
and looking at the
I
camera and
think
stuff.
something can happen. The big thing is the number of soldiers, mostly at this point, but soldiers being killed. They're losing thousands of soldiers. On both sides, we're losing a lot of soldiers, and we want to see it stop. And we want to see the money get put to different kinds of use, like rebuilding. And we're going to be working very hard. But we've had a lot of very good conversations. I will say until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever. They didn't speak to anybody. They just allowed this to continue. And I will say that, I'll say in front of you, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if I were president, this war would have never happened. We would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through what you've gone through. But your soldiers have been unbelievably brave. We've given them great equipment, but somebody has to use the equipment. They've been unbelievably brave, and we give them great credit. This was supposed to be over very quickly, and here we are 3 years later. So I give tremendous credit to your generals and your soldiers and yourself in the sense that it's been very hard fighting, very tough fighting. They're great fighters. And you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want to get it over with. So
Zelensky's like, no, more war. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. He didn't even nod.
now we want to get it over
He's like, not enough death, man. We need more.
with. And you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want to get it over with. So it's an honor to have you here.
Actually, you know what? I was wrong because he did keep nodding when he said it's enough the first time. I just didn't catch
proud
that.
of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough.
Yeah,
right?
he
We wanna
initiated
get
a
it
new
over
nod
with.
there, so my bad.
It's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to sign the agreement at the conference in the East Room in a little while, right after lunch. And we'll be having lunch together. We're also discussing some other things. And we appreciate everybody being here. It's somewhat of an exciting moment, but the really exciting moment is when we get when they stop the shooting or we end up with a deal. And I think we're fairly close to getting that, and an honor to have you. And please, I'd like to say something.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for invitation. And really, I hope that this first document will be...
Why is it so quiet? I know for you guys it's probably going to be better because I have like the compression cranked up to a ridiculous amount, but like...
The first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine, our people, our children. I really count on it. And of course, we count that America will not stop support. Really, for us, it's very important to support and to continue it. I want to discuss it with details further during our conversation, and of course, the infrastructure or security guarantees. Because for today, I understand what Europe is ready to do. And of course, I want to discuss with you what United States will be ready to do, and I really count on your strong position to stop Putin. And you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him. But for us, it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom and democracy, and of course, no compromises with the killer about our territories, but it will be later. And of course, what I wanted, we spoke about it by phone with you about the drones production. We have very good drones production. I think the best one in the world for today because of the
He's speaking like Trump. He's like, oh, you know about our drone production. We got some great drone production. Best drone production in the world, I might add. Like very Trumpian there.
We have very good drones production. I think the best one in the world for today because of the war. Yes, and of course we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and really you helped us under attacks of Russians. And I want to speak how we can exchange the licenses. We're open to share the licenses of all our drones with you, of course, with the United States. And we need licenses for quick production of air defense. Even after the war, we need our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you, and we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need. And the last point.
So that's referring to some developments in Europe, if you guys are not aware. Donald Trump has been indicating over the past week or two that he's not going to be supporting Ukraine in the same way that Joe Biden has been supporting Ukraine financially. And then this caused the entirety of Europe to be, whoa. Well, if Trump isn't going to pay Ukraine's bills, then someone has to, or else they lose the war. So Ukraine has sort of been uniting and being like, sorry, not Ukraine. Europe has been uniting and they're being like, oh, okay, you know what? Let's all band together, boys, and pay for Zelensky's bills. And so now they're starting to pony up more money to Ukraine. So that's the coalition that he is sort of hinting at there, giving Ukraine support to sort of fill in the vacuum that Trump is about to leave there very soon.
Last not least, about exchange, about our people and children. And you know that this crazy Russian, that they stolen 20,000 of children, Ukrainian children. They changed their names. They changed their families, relatives.
The look on Trump's face makes it seem like he doesn't really know about any of this, that this is happening at all.
And now they're in Russia. We want to bring them back. And really, it's a big dream, task and goal for me and our warriors. By the way, Mr. President, we released more than 4,000 warriors from Russian prison, but there are thousands more in the prison. I wanted to share with you some images. How it's just can I now?
Yeah, please. Please.
1 minute. Just you to understand in what circumstances, in what situation they are, and what the attitude of Russia to our prisoners. That guys, just you before and after. And you see before and after, just you to understand. Now thousands of such guys, ladies and men, there, and that, so they don't eat, they beat them, and they, so they do a lot of, bad things. So out of, even during the war, there are rules. Everybody knows there are rules during the war. So these guys, they don't have any rules. You see that 50, 60 kilograms left, and a lot of such things. And I didn't want to show you what the changes with images of children, because I will just share with you. And, I mean, it's looking tragic.
Yep, it's tough stuff.
Yeah, I wanted very much to give you, and you see it.
Yeah.
This is past.
I think that Zelensky did not handle himself particularly well, but this was the best moment from all the clips I saw, because it's like, it's undeniable, right? That Russia treats its prisoners poorly, in that they are an autocratic dictatorship. So I think it is powerful for him to show visually with images how Russia is treating Ukraine and the Ukrainians.
I wanted very much to give you, and you see it.
Yeah.
This is pastor, by the way. They stolen pastors, because it's not Russian church. They stolen pastors and moved pastors to the prison. We, at the end of last year, we brought 3 pastors, and we could exchange them. This is pastor, you see.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Now there's another clip here that I'm gonna cue up here just a second here. All right.
So I mean, this I wanted to show you, and
I do like how he pointed out that a pastor was one of the people there as well, that they don't like Ukrainian pastors. Of course, because of like the nationalism, whatever. You want to have a tight button on what type of religious views are spread and propagated. A little bit hypocritical though, because I want to say that Ukraine also trespassed on the rights of pro-Russian churches in Ukraine, right? So a little bit hypocritical there. Zelensky, from what I hear, has some dictatorial leanings. So, but for Trump, who's someone in the past has claimed to be a Christian, I don't think that he claims to be a Christian now, but if he's a Christian, you go like, hey, they're persecuting Christians. I think that that's a powerful pitch.
so thank you very much.
We want to get that ended, right?
Yeah, of course. We will.
And I think we will. And
We have to, of course.
do you have any questions, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. How much money is the U.S. going to put into the fund that is being created today, and how does this provide long-term security for Ukraine?
Well, we don't know exactly how much, because we're going to be putting some money in a fund that we're going to get from the raw earth that we're going to be taking and sharing in terms of revenue. So it's going to be a lot of money will be made from the sale and from the use of raw earth. And as you know, our country doesn't have much raw earth. We have a lot of oil and gas, but we don't have a lot of the raw earth. And what we do have is protected by the environmentalists, but that could be unprotected, but still it's not very much. They have among the best in the world in terms of raw earth. So we're going to be using that, using it for all of the things we do, including AI and including weapons and the military, and it's really going to very much satisfy our needs. So something that just worked out really well. We have a lot of oil and we have a lot of gas, we have a lot, but we don't have raw earth. So this has just about every component of the raw earth that we need for computers, for all of the things we do. This puts us in great shape.
So it's interesting that Donald Trump wants to use is going to Ukraine in this dire time of need and saying, hey, give us your minerals. Right? It's like they're about to get decimated in a war with a major world power, probably the most minor of all the major world powers, but a major world power nonetheless. And he's like, can we use your minerals? Now, on the flip side of that, I can see why such a deal might be attractive to Ukraine, because look, if the United States is getting minerals from Ukraine, The United States has a vested interest in there being peace in Ukraine, because if there's peace there, then you can keep mining the minerals, right? It hurts America if a source of their production and a source of their resources gets attacked or whatever. And this deal is not with Russia. This deal is with Ukraine. So let's say Russia goes over and takes over Ukraine and destroys it. They're not going to abide by the same deal that Trump had with Ukraine about the minerals. So from that angle, I could also see why Ukraine would want to come to the table on a something like this. It's also getting a little chilly, so I might put on a jacket or something.
I think they're going to have great luck. I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting. I've spoken with President Putin, and I feel very strong. I've known him for a long time, and I feel very strongly that they're very serious about it. And we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made, I don't think we talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day. All they talked about was security. I said, let me make the deal first.
So one thing too, a lot of people are like, well, how do we know that Putin is not going to attack Ukraine again? Now, the claim is that what Putin wants to do is bring back Soviet Russia or something, the old, Soviet Union, and Ukraine is one of those countries along that path, right? It's already taken Crimea, and now it's moving on to Ukraine. The problem is that this guy is a massive propaganda fiend, right? He cares about his image. And first of all, it already makes Putin look weak for him to have invaded Ukraine and then for the war to last this long. Ukraine's an itty bitty teeny tiny nation. In Ukraine and in Russia is one of the major world powers. They literally have nukes. It makes them look so bad that this war has lasted so long. So I think that Putin has a massive image advantage to be gained with the ending of the war, because what he can get to do is, if anything is signed, it doesn't even matter what's in it, he can say, we have achieved our objective. We have gotten what we came here for. We have weakened our enemy of Ukraine, and they have run back home with their tail between their legs. So Russia has something to gain from there being peace here. So a lot of people are worried, and they're like, oh, is Putin going to invade Ukraine again? No, I don't think Putin is going to invade Ukraine again. And I don't think that he's going to want to invade other countries either, because he's seen how badly this has affected his military. Wait until he tries to attack other nations who might or might not be more powerful than Ukraine, right? So, and also many of the nations he was looking into, they're all like NATO members, right? So it's like, I don't see this happening. I'm going to go get my jacket, but I just don't see this happening of Putin attacking Ukraine again after this peace deal is struck.
Have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal, because right now, last week, 2,000 soldiers died on both sides. 2,000. And they're losing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield. And,
crazy.
They're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers, and we want to be able to stop it. And we want to be able also to spend money on other things. We don't want to, this is a tremendous amount of money. And what the Biden administration did was terrible. They were giving money, but he had no security on the money. Europe, as you know, gave much less money, but they had security. It was in the form of a loan. They get their money back, and we didn't. And now, at least we're protected, because the American taxpayer has to be protected too. But this is an incredible agreement for Ukraine, because we have a big investment in their country now, and what they have, very few people have. And we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country. This allows.
So first Taiwan and now Ukraine. What's up with the government having a penchant for investing in small countries next to major world powers that have resources that we need, but they're always under threat of being invaded by the greater enemy?
This allows us to do that.
continue? Will you
Yeah,
continue?
I'm sorry. Can
sending
I?
military aid?
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just, yes, in the document there is one of the very important points. If we speak about business and investment, we never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next documents, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see a really good will for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. Use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they have our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. Yeah, really, they did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. No.
Don't argue with it.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a president of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take? And do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
Yeah, I'd say George Washington.
I feel like this is a dumb question. Not entirely relevant, but I will say this is, it sounded like a Ukrainian journalist. It's not like Ukrainian journalists have lots of opportunities to ask Trump questions, so it's not entirely shocking or out of the ordinary that they would ask him such a softball question like this.
And Abraham Lincoln, I would say I'm far superior to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know I'm only kidding, right? Because when I say that, the fake news is going to go wild. They're going to say he considers himself to be better than Washington, but you never know. You never know.
The funny thing is, when I saw that clip of it, at first, that was literally my first thought. I was like, they're going to say that he's saying that he's as good as Lincoln or whatever. Like,
I don't compare myself to anybody. I'm here to do a job. We've had a great 35 days or whatever it might be, a month, a little more than a month. We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides, as you know. But I think we've done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been a opening for a president. The first month, there's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak, and I don't want to have that. You know, think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. This would, if I were president, this would have never started.
Mr. President, will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
President Zelensky, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side, that President Trump is on your side at this moment?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, it's sort of a stupid question.
It's a little, I don't know if it's stupid. It's more intelligent than the question that was asked before. You know, it's one of those questions that you don't really want to ask directly because the person you're asking might not answer truthfully. Maybe that's the best way to put it, right? You know, be like, of course, I think you're on our side, but then da 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 is like the subtext of it, you know, in response to other questions might be include more subtext that might intimate, oh, maybe you don't actually think that we're on the same side, you know?
I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't. But
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes, and Putin, the president speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory. They came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, was really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about...
He's getting way ahead of ourselves. This is not about... He's being way too specific about what he wants when we're so far away from the end result. Right now, this is about minerals. Now he's saying, oh, Trump, go tell Putin to move his troops back. We're not quite there yet. It sounds like there are like a bunch of different agreements and deals that they had lined up for things they wanted to negotiate on in order to get to that point. But he's getting way ahead of himself here.
The history.
It's like when you're like at Thanksgiving dinner, right? And it's like 5 minutes after everyone has gone through the line to get their food, and then some like 4-year-old kid goes up to like the mother of the house or whatever and says, "Hey, Auntie, can I have some pie now? Where's the ice cream? Where's the cranberry sauce?" Like, you know, maybe eat your meat first and eat your vegetables. You know what I mean?
This is the question, was really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President, or when he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall.
We've had very, very
That's
good
true.
Talks.
I like how, like, very clearly, he didn't agree with what Zelensky was saying there about Trump, about Putin pulling back his troops or whatever, and basically ceding all ground that they had gained. But he didn't want to litigate that in public, so he was like, our talks have been great. And then he was like, next question. Very, very interesting. I think it's a pattern you'll see repeatedly where Zelensky's prodding to provoke Trump, and Trump is being a lot less aggressive than Zelensky's being.
We've had very, very good talks.
What about military aid to Ukraine?
President Zelensky just said that there'd be no compromises with Vladimir Putin. I just wanted to ask both of you. Firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelensky is going to have to make? And President Zelensky, is there anything that you think that you may be able to offer or bring to the table? For example, elections. Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. It's all we can do. I'm here as an arbitrator, as a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile, to put it mildly. They've been very hostile.
The way that Zelensky's reacting here. But it seems like he just does not want to cede any ground at all. He does not want to make any concessions. And that's going to be difficult, right? You can't have a negotiation with no negotiation.
This has been a vicious war. This has been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out, and as I've said many times, we were talking about it with Pete, many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about, generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
if I
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And I've got a
I hope it will.
I don't understand all these questions about his legacy, but you know, Trump's track record has not shown that that's how he's going to be remembered as someone who leads America into wars, right? His first term was the first term in a long time when America was not involved in a new international conflict overseas. I don't know what it would be about that track record which would make you think that Trump would lead us into another world war.
I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction.
True.
If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and we won it by a lot, that was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts, you look at the areas of red, take a look at a map. This was a big mandate, and this was one of the things. I said, we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your second question?
My second question for President Zelensky.
No.
Why don't you wear a suit?
why?
The funny thing is, it's the type of question that like everyone's asking themselves, but it's not the type of question you would want a journalist to ask. Whose idea was it to ask Zelensky, "Oh, do you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? Do you have it at home?" Blah blah blah. Like, it's so dumb, man. It's kind of a petulant question. I mean, there have been people complaining about Zelensky's attire at times, but it's because he's been wearing like rare hypebeast sneakers when meeting with foreign dignitaries. Not that he's not wearing a suit. I mean, I think, hold on, let me look this up. When Modi came to visit the United States of America, did he wear a suit as well? Here, let me look this up. Modi visits the United States, because I believe that the formal garb, yes, the formal garb. Let me see. Yeah, the formal garb of India is a little bit different than the formal garb of the United States. So generally, when people come to a foreign country, they would just wear whatever they would normally wear as part of their uniform or their formal attire, rather than the formal attire of the hosting nation. So it's not completely unusual or strange for Zelensky to just wear his normal clothes rather than wear a suit like everybody else in America is wearing.
You have problems.
Yeah, do you own a suit is devious work.
Really? I don't have such.
Some Americans did have problems, I think, but it's not the type of question you ask in this scenario, man. Come on.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish. Yes, maybe.
Dude.
Maybe something like.
This dude got hurt right in the fifis. This dude got his feelings hurt, dude. He's like, "Oh, you want me to wear a costume? You want me to wear a costume? Is that what you want?"
War will finish. Yes, maybe. Maybe something like yours, yes. Maybe
yeah, he's like, you're wearing a costume? You want me to wear a costume like you?
something better.
I was something even better than you.
No, we will see. Maybe something cheaper than, yeah.
What?
Thank you.
That's crazy. This dude went out And before he insulted Trump, because we know that happens later, he went and bothered to insult an American journalist for no reason, and didn't do it very well, mind you, because he's speaking in broken English. Like, this is just a train wreck. Well, it's not even a train wreck yet, but we can see the wheels starting to fall off.
Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine. Yeah, sure. Hopefully,
Well, I mean, he's bound by previous obligations and agreements, so I don't think that Trump has much. I don't think that Trump has much of an option there.
send very much because hopefully we're going to have it finished.
Also, Trump wants the war to end, but he doesn't want the war to end with Ukraine just running out of materials. I think if that's what it takes, that's what he'll do, but I don't think that's what he wants. He wants to be able to sign a deal that will guarantee peace in the region. So if he can, stave off, Ukraine just being obliterated, even if it's with minor things like increasing our investment in Ukraine, then that's what he'll do.
Looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement because we needed what they had, and we're treating, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly. Very quickly.
Does that mean provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the deal done. You fall into the same trap like everybody else. A million times you said over and over, I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem.
Right. You generally don't negotiate in public. That's not particularly wise, and that's not how things are done. Now that's what Zelensky tried to do here, I believe, and that's when things started falling apart. But generally, that's just not what you do.
I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stop shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to.
Wait, Zelensky looked so upset when Trump said that he wanted people to stop shooting each other.
The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stop shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France.
Okay, I actually understand why he reacted that way now, because that is a very it's a very simple and basic way to describe security. I understand what he means, right? It's just like, oh, you send a bunch of troops over here, you get them guns, then, people aren't really going to be so quick to shoot at you, huh? Like, I think it's sort of what he's saying there, but I don't know if saying that security is easy is the way I would describe that.
Security is very nice.
That
Everybody
dynamic.
stop shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK.
So now he's talking about putting troops on the ground.
Is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. We have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over. Question?
Yeah,
please go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
President, thank you.
Thank you.
Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging with Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with? Well,
Oh, of course, man. That guy's like buttering him up. It's like he's about to cook him for breakfast. Like, bro, what? Of course, it was
I love
One
this
American
guy.
News Network.
who are you with?
I mean, it's a fair question. I didn't like the verbiage, but I mean, good question.
Well,
I mean, not-
why I like him.
not a
One
great
American
question.
News
I
does
like
a
these
great
questions
job.
are weak
That's very-
sauce,
I like
man.
the question. I think it's
I
a
wish they
very
would
good
talk- they were
question.
tougher questions.
It is. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement, because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas.
Zelensky already looks like he's sick and tired of this dude.
They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell. They went from no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away, and you see what happened, and that's a real mess also.
So I can understand why Zelensky would be upset here, because we're here really ostensibly to talk about the deal between America and Ukraine that was about to be imminently signed here at this particular moment. But then Trump goes off and on, tooting out at his own horn about his ability to stop other potential international incidents, right? Like the war in Gaza, right, between Israel and Hamas. Well, I hate to break the news, but that's not terribly relevant because this isn't about Gaza. This isn't about Israel. This is about America, Russia, and Ukraine. So for him to bring that up, I think is pretty inappropriate. And, we can see Zelensky fidgeting in his seat, and I think appropriately so, because that was not the time to bring up that Trump would have prevented the Israel-Hamas war, as true as that might have been.
That we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer, yes, if I can answer,
Please,
sorry,
go ahead.
please.
And I do like your clothing, but
Yeah, really?
even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what? I think he's dressed. I think he's dressed
I like this guy.
I think he's dressed beautifully.
So
I like the goodwill that Trump is trying to show Zelensky here, where he's like, don't let those dudes, the American haters, get you down about your clothes. It's fine. Wear what you want to wear when you come here, which is part of cultural norms, right? We saw the picture of Modi, right, wearing his traditional garb when visiting the United States. You let the foreign dignitaries wear what foreign dignitaries wear when they're on foreign soil. That's just how it works.
I have more serious things than answer on such questions. I will answer on more serious questions if I can. Yeah, so please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will never work, because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times.
That's a good point there. That's a good point. Now, I think I've said this in a previous video, but I think that a fair condition would be, hey, we signed a ceasefire agreement. The moment that the ceasefire agreement is broken, immediately we send more arms and stuff to Ukraine again. I think something like that would be a nice way to tie in, the agreement with some tangible consequences that kick in if Putin decides to renege on those agreements, because it's a possibility that he might. There has to be some sort of contingency plan in the case that that's something that Zelensky chooses to do.
He broken his own signature 25 times. He broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke to me.
No, you were the president.
He
were the president during.
He never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those period. He had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy.
Wait a second.
During those period, he had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format.
I thought that you don't become president after the election until like the following year, January of the following year, right? So, for example, if you win the 2024 election, you become president in January of 2025. So it would have had to happen in 2017 in order for him to break the agreement with Trump, not in 2016.
those period, he had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format, you know, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia, and he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough, because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have, all the world knows that we have meeting, yes? Why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and it says ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans.
Now that's an interesting argument, that Europe would be afraid to support Ukraine for fear of angering America. But I don't know that the Trump administration would be upset at Europe supporting Ukraine. If Europe wants to support Ukraine, they can go ahead and do that. Now, maybe that's just my own personal opinion. Maybe I am not hearing some of the other rhetoric that Trump has given, where he's told Keir Starmer and members of Europe that they can't support Ukraine, but that's not the impression that I get, that Trump would particularly mind that. Also, he's going off on security guarantees. I don't know that these security guarantees are things that Trump has said that he wants. It's very interesting that he's going off on those.
It's crucial. This is important.
And like, he is speaking very strongly about something that is probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 negotiation deals down the line. They're going to be marching, or they were supposed to be marching down to the goal line when it comes to getting this war resolved, right? You know, piece by piece by piece. Trump wants to do it quickly, but it's still gonna have some subsequent steps that take place before we get to that final moment where it's like, okay, we've got a complete ceasefire deal between Ukraine and Russia. But Zelensky is getting way ahead of himself. He wants everything that he wants within one deal, like today. I'm sorry, but you're just not going to get that, especially when you have 0 of the cards. It's like, the way that this guy is coming up here, it's almost like he is bluffing, but all his cards are on the table and he's got a bad hand and everybody knows. And so it's like, security guarantees? How about you agree to like some sort of like ceasefire? How about you agree to peace? How about you agree to, you know, the terms that we have set aside already, that we have already discussed? I don't know. I think it was a bad strat for him to come in so aggressively like this.
And strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial. This is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop. And will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. You know, it's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know, but with all the Europeans, in media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us.
True.
And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia change its
Mr. President, may I have one more question, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
I asked President
They have to
Zelensky
pay.
this question. You
This
didn't
is the
like
rule.
because-
This is the rule of the
because I-
war.
I'm
This is
sorry.
the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay. This is the rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billion, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
It sounds like he's asking for a lot from Russia. How much does he want Russia to give Ukraine for a peace deal? I thought it would be reasonable to say just lay down your arms and take your toys and go back home, right? But he is saying that he wants hundreds of billions of dollars of Russian assets. That maybe I misheard that, but that is bizarre. That's very dramatic. That's dramatic. Let me say that, right? He's asking for a lot there.
This question that you didn't like, because I wanted to know.
Go ahead, please. Wait 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and
Yes,
Ukraine,
I
or
do.
on the Ukraine side.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. As you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
The Baltics, they got a lot of, it's a tough neighborhood too.
It's so funny to see Trump like just go so avidly in favor of Poland and then be like, oh, what do you think about the Baltics? It's like, well, he clearly does not like the Baltics as much as he likes Poland.
But we're committed. We're going to be very committed, and we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalize, because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that? Why is the United States, we have an ocean in between, why is the United States in for so much more money and other things as Europe? With that being said, and as you said,
it's proportions though, right? Like maybe they're spending an equal percent of their budget towards Ukrainian arms and Ukrainian weaponry. But it's, of course, less money because Ukraine is far smaller than America. I don't think that we can expect Ukraine to, I don't think we can expect Europe to pony up the same gross amount that America would spend. But I think what we can't ask for is proportions. Now, maybe proportionally, Europe is spending less. That could be the case. That could be the case. And if that's what's happening, then I will admit that I'm wrong here. But it seems to me like it's likely that Europe might even be paying more proportionally than the United States is. So if you're paying equal amounts proportionally, I wouldn't be that upset.
they've also been obviously very helpful. But we have put in far more than they have. And I think they should equalize.
Zelensky does not seem very happy about how Trump is speaking about Europe's involvement in support for Ukraine.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
About the agreement again today, what changed between the first time that Secretary Vance gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
What was the
I'm just,
deciding factor? Was
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed. I didn't
Yeah, I think generally before deals are signed, you don't talk about what changed to make the deals happen. Those things get leaked to the press, of course, in some circumstances, but generally you don't just go out and say it. It's like, oh, I wanted $2 and I was able to get him to say $3. Like, that's generally not what the people who are at the negotiating table do before the deal is signed.
we were going to make a deal, and we ended up making the deal, so that changed. You know?
Mr. President, what and how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and...
I don't know, but it's, well, they don't like each other, I can tell you that. Okay? They do not like each other. This is not a love match, and it's unfortunate. That's why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen, okay? The United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person, a very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big.
Interesting.
And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Mr. President?
About sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is a war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the will be at the negotiation table.
Well, that's nice to hear Zelensky say that he wants to be at the negotiating table, because I think that he was hinting that he didn't even want to speak to Russia for some time.
Of course, United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. But yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending the line, and they have real life, and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also, it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR. You know, they've been.
Wait a second, Ziggy. Are the Baltics in NATO?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Alexa's stupid. Hold on, doing this again.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with it.
Let me see here. Hey Google, are the Baltics in NATO?
Yes, the Baltic states are members of NATO. Specifically, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are all NATO members. They joined NATO on March 29, 2004. Additionally, with Finland and Sweden joining NATO, the Baltic Sea is now being referred to as a, quote, NATO lake.
So one thing that is very important to consider is that attacking a non-NATO state is different than attacking a NATO state. When you're attacking a NATO state, one of the whole point of being in NATO is to prevent world wars, because if you attack one member of NATO, all the other members of NATO are then obligated to jump in and provide assistance. I think it is far less likely that Putin attacks a NATO state than that he attacks a non-NATO state. This is actually why he attacked Ukraine and not states that are members of NATO. And that's why Zelensky so badly wants NATO member status. In fact, to the point of saying at one point that he would give up the presidency if it meant that Ukraine could be a member of NATO, because no one is necessarily obligated to help Ukraine right now. And that's why Trump, I think, is wanting to pull back. But if Putin attacks like the Baltics, for example, then things are going to break. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. It's going to be a lot of other people jumping into the war, right? NATO's going to jump in. And then when NATO jumps in, you're probably going to see some of Russia's allies jump in as well. It's just going to get very ugly very quickly. So this idea that Putin's going to go from Ukraine to the Baltics to Poland, I just don't think that's serious. And that's not even taking into account the fact that the war lasting this long is making Putin look weak. And so he probably wants this conflict to end as quickly as possible with some sort of signed agreement so that he can say, we got what we wanted because what we wanted is in this agreement.
One of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
What? I don't think that anyone is projecting that that Russia is going to attack America directly after rebuilding the Soviet Union, and even that, has that been something that has been confirmed? I would say. I think there's no guarantee that Putin wants to rebuild the Soviet Union. I don't know, man. I think that's a bit of a stretch. That Putin's giving up to attack America? Nah.
Would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv or Odessa, which is going to be a 30-year-old Black Sea?
It was my question.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. There are a lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No.
And a lot of things have
Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. No, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes.
Sure. Mr. President, when did you last speak
one more.
Mr. President, thank you.
Please,
Mr.
go ahead.
President, when did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say that?
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do. My whole life, that's what I do, is make deals. And I'm in the middle of a mess, because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco, and we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about that?
We have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made in Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one that unites us with Europe as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday, and I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days, and we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Nice to see J.D. Vance standing on business there. I know that he got a lot of flack for pointing out Europe's grievous violations against First Amendment rights and the principles of free speech, right? Cracking down on certain forms of speech in an authoritarian and autocratic way. But it's nice to see him not backing down, right? Using America's strategic advantage to his own advantage, not cowering in fear over these smaller countries that don't have as much leverage over us, frankly, right? When it comes to these sorts of negotiations and things, I like how America now under Trump is negotiating from a position of strength, where it's like, no, we've got all the money, we've got all the, not all the resources, but a lot of them. You're reliant on us. We're not going to bend to your will, right? We have our own interests. We have these values that we are trying to uphold and preserve. We're not going to cede that ground to you just because you want to throw away some Christians into jail because they're protesting abortions outdoors. That's just how it works. It's nice to see America functioning this way internationally.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal?
What is Zelensky talking about with his intern? I'm a little bit confused here. I find that interesting. They've been talking like that for a while during this.
Is there any other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all critical?
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world, by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No, we don't need that.
And also, why would Ukraine buy American LNG if they have their own LNG? That doesn't make any sense.
I wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay. And how was the latest call? And what did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am. I'd love to know.
It's relevant.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines, and in areas that Russia...
A very good question. Thank you so much.
Would you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about, so we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interest? Would that be Ukrainian?
They'll be protected. The agreement will protect them. The agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement.
Oh, I see. So this is so maybe this is one thing that brought Zelensky to the negotiating table, right? So the minerals are near the front lines. There are going to be Americans working there in those mineral mines. And so it's like, hey, we have to make sure that Americans are protected and send troops over there. Now, I think the way that America has engaged itself in this war has been extremely cowardly. It's like, oh, we want Russia to lose this war. We want to fight Russia, but that would cause too big of a stink if America send troops over to Russia or fired our own missiles. So we're going to send weaponry to Ukraine and have them do our dirty work for them. Let their soldiers be killed. Let's not put our own soldiers in harm's way. That strikes me as a very cowardly way for us to fight Russia, because we're taking an existing war and we're turning it into a proxy war between America and Russia, with Ukraine serving as our proxy, essentially. But when it comes to this, what are we doing? We're sending American civilians to the front lines. And what is that? To give them an excuse, to give us an excuse to send troops over there? Because it's like, we're defending American civilians. Or is it to make Putin more scared of attacking the front lines? Because it's like, well, if you hurt one of our people, we're going to go after you. I'm quite sure that's how it goes with Trump. That seems to be an escalatory measure, because I don't know if Putin's necessarily going to back down just because we bring in some civilians to work on some mines.
What if Russia tries to invade or orders Russian aggression in their spot?
I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
They ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions. Focus on
That's
surviving.
a good question. I don't even like Caitlin Collins, but this is a good question.
Because CNN's got such low ratings, I don't think they're going to survive.
Bro, I don't even like Caitlin Collins, but she asked the best question out of anyone here. A lot of these are very silly questions, but it's very relevant to be like, hey, the minerals are near the front lines. How are you going to protect those? The agreement's going to protect them. But how, sir? How is that not relevant? How is that not fair to ask?
Let's go. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Since I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes.
That's true.
All right, one more question.
I think that's the best response Trump has given, because that is how it works. You can't just run around, blustering your way and call that negotiating. If you have two sides that hate each other, you've got to butter them up a little bit, or at least be nice and cordial to them if you want some sort of deal. You don't really, you wouldn't trust someone to be mediator for a deal if you thought that person was your enemy. So of course that Trump is going to proceed that way. He understands negotiation. He understands the basics of negotiation. So I don't need to explain this. I feel like he's explained that well enough himself. But I do like that this is something that Trump understands. We've seen how he's negotiated with other countries in the past. It's very nice to see him sort of walk through these steps and explain it and break it down in a way that's understandable and digestible.
Yeah, please.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden, of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country? Is America engaging in diplomacy? That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 is
Well, 2014.
Yeah. So
I was,
he killed,
I was not here.
Yeah, but yes, but
Zelensky is complaining at Trump about Obama's foreign policy strategy. But I understand him expanding the scope because he doesn't want this complaint to come off as personal as it ostensibly is.
But during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped.
Let's be honest. The President of the United States' primary objective is not to defend the people of Ukraine or to fight Russia. It's to serve in the best interest of the United States of America. So maybe that at some points that means fighting Russia. Maybe at some points it doesn't. But the way that he's acting here and asking this question, he's making it seem like the United States is obligated to help Ukraine, however much it wants to be helped, in obtaining its own objectives. Well, no. You're not a child asking your dad for money when you're 12 years old. You're a grown-up now. You're your own country. So you need to fight for your own objectives and stop acting like everyone else around you who is supposedly on your side is obligated to give you a helping hand, because that's just not how this works.
You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire, all of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners.
When did he break that ceasefire? When was that broken? Was that broken under Trump's administration, or was that broken under Joe Biden's administration? It's interesting he doesn't provide the year for that. He provides the year for the invasion, 2014. He provides the year for the deal that was negotiated by Trump, in part, in 2019. But does he provide the year in which that ceasefire deal was broken? Seems like a key piece of information that's missing here.
But he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's
and then going up to America and being like, what do you mean diplomacy? Like, it didn't happen under Trump's administration. Come on.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to...
Come once.
This is painful. So my suspicions were correct when I watched this clip that actually JD Vance had sort of provoked things. But it's like, on the sly, Zelensky has been attacking some of America's policies towards Ukraine over the past few to several years, right? Now, he's complaining about things that Trump was involved with, or things that didn't happen under Trump, right? I don't think that the break of the ceasefire deal happened under the Trump administration. That could be wrong, but I don't think that happened. So how are we, it's a bit strange. He's trying to hold Trump accountable for things that previous presidents have done, and he's saying what diplomacy when they're literally about to sign some sort of deal. But then JD Vance says, "Well, you're conscripting. How are you going to lecture us when you can't even get people to willingly support your war? You want us to support your war more than your own people do." And he has a 4% approval rating. Don't forget that. So I'm a little torn because Zelensky's attacking America on the sly, and JD Vance is publicly saying, "No, you don't get to do that." I think that there is some praise to be had for publicly making a statement in that manner. At the same time, I think it made things end up getting a lot uglier because now the gloves are off and we're about to see some fireworks go off. No double entendres intended there.
Diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
And then him saying, like a child, "Oh, what are you talking about? You've never been here?" Like, he doesn't have to have been there. He can get reports. There's intelligence. There's information about what's going on the front lines. You don't have to be there in order to speak on what's happening. That's like, oh, how can you tell me how cold it is? You didn't go outside? Bro, I checked the weather app.
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
Do we have problems?
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have.
Don't tell us what.
Oh my goodness, that's so bad. He's doubling down on his claim earlier that he said that basically Russia's going to attack. Russia's going to attack America if they don't stop at Ukraine. That was such a bad statement.
God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
know that.
Oh, this is so cringy. Why did Zelensky go there? That's so, it's so terrible.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling.
I like on the face of Zelensky there. He's like, he realized like, uh-oh, like this got bad. Like, look at his face right here.
What we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this.
I'm not dictating.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
Playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing
I'm very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
What do you think
You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
With all respect to you.
Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this entire meeting, you said thank you.
Even today.
You went to Pennsylvania.
And I don't understand that question. It's like, oh, why did you say thank you? Like, bro, come on. How are you? How old are you? 12? Like, you didn't need to say thank you. But I think it is fair to ask, you have bashed you've bashed America basically off and on this entire conversation for 40 minutes straight. Have you? Do you even like us? Do you know? That's a fair thing to ask. I'll give him that. Not exactly what he's going for, but it's approximate.
Even today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a
answer?
lot of talking. Your country.
Let's go. Let's go. So he has to stop talking. Taru. Oh man. It's like, hold on, wait a second. I'm gonna take this picture. Hold on. It's like, bruh. Dude, this moment right here. This man, this went south so quickly. It's wild, dude. Okay, let's keep going.
Is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this.
I
laugh. But that's that I don't have to cry, because this is very, very serious, right? Trump is entirely right that Zelensky is playing World War III. He's literally basically being like, it's either World War III or we get NATO membership. There's no in between. That's essentially Zelensky's position here. And he is like, I don't care how many people have to die. I don't care how many Ukrainians have to die. I don't care if this sparks other international conflicts with other people who are trying to mediate or fight for us, and they end up fighting each other. I don't care. I don't care if this inevitably results in America fighting Russia, because let's be honest, it's more likely that Russia attacks America if America continues to back Ukraine indefinitely than if America gets a peace deal where Russia and Ukraine are no longer at odds. That's more likely, right? So Zelensky's like, I don't care about that. I want the war to end. I want security guarantees. I want NATO membership. And Trump is here like, there are people dying. 2,000 people died in 2 weeks in this war. This war needs to end. I'm sick of seeing people dying over there. And meanwhile, Zelensky is tersely sitting over here, with it all sitting over here like this, going like, oh, this guy wants the war to end. It's so awful. How dare he not want Ukrainians to die anymore? Like, come on, spare me.
In big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment, our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
Wait, what did you say?
This war would have been over in 2 weeks. If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days.
Ooh, and that's true. That's true, actually.
I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks. Of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this, I tell you.
He's right. He's right. And it's interesting because Trump hinted at this. It's like, when you've got two sides like this who hate each other, you have to speak nicely and cordially to both of them if you want an agreement to work. And then Zelensky is over here, not even guns blazing. He's like poking people in the sides. And now he's at the end, he's trying to point his pistol in Trump Vance's eyeballs. And it's like, well, how do you expect Trump to get along with you and give you what you want when you keep on coming over here and insulting him, trying to hold him accountable for things that previous presidents have done? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This doesn't make any sense, right? Obama was in office when Ukraine was invaded. What does that have to do with Trump? Biden was in office when Ukraine was attacked again, breaking a peace deal that Trump negotiated, but that was under Obama's administration. What does Trump have to do with that? that? Nothing. So he is salty at Donald Trump for things that Obama has done and things that Biden has done or not done in any case. And because he can't go up to them and complain to them, he's complaining to Trump and complaining to Vance. But you know what? I'm sorry, Vladimir Putin. I'm sorry, Zelensky. It's not 2014 anymore. It's not 2019 anymore. It is not 2020 anymore. It's 2025, and it's time for there to be peace, because we have people in Ukraine who are being conscripted, dragged out of their homes, dragged out of coffee shops and restaurants and nightclubs to go fight and die in the war that you want to last forever until there's either a World War III and you have NATO membership. One of the two. It seems very, very selfish for him to come to the United States and make all of these demands as if he is the one in the optimal position, or he's the one who has all the leverage, gambling and playing games with world peace so that he can get his own political objectives complete. This is ridiculous, and this is no way for an ally of the United States to behave, especially when we've got other nations in play where we're trying to make negotiations and you're over here making inflammatory statements, accusing the very people that you're asking for handouts of doing things that they didn't do. Try to hold them accountable for things that previous administrations did. It's too bad. It's too bad. That happened a long time ago. This is a horrible way to negotiate, and this is a terrible way to behave in public. I would absolutely expect world leaders to act like this and speak like this behind closed doors. People argue and shout at each other. That's just how negotiations are done between certain people, because they can't speak calmly or whatever, or they just get very passionate about their own aims and objectives. That all is natural. But to do all of this in front of the mainstream media, it's just very, one can say disrespectful. Sure. I think that's a little petulant to go after the disrespect angle when it's ineffective. It is petty. It's not how you negotiate if you're actually being serious about trying to achieve peace. Trying to poke the bear and then ask him for some berries? Like, come on, bro. That's not how it works. That's not how you're supposed to do things. And that's just not how you get what you want done. And I know I'm kind of ranting, but just look at how Zelensky has behaved this entire time. This is ridiculous. The man is obnoxious. I can see why he has had trouble establishing peace in his country if this is how he negotiates.
Thank you.
I said a lot of times thank you to American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on over here. I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look. If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war. But
you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
There. I like how Trump put it extremely plainly. It's like, so this is the deal breaker. It seems like this is the deal breaker. Trump wants a ceasefire, and Zelensky wants Russia to, what is it? He wants Russia to, I don't know if forfeit's the word, but to claim defeat from the job, especially when they're like, when they literally are about to win the war. He's asking Russia to say, oh, sorry, we lost. We'll go home and give you guys in Ukraine whatever you want, including $300 billion and some sort of assets you have in Europe. Huh? It almost seems like this guy's not in the real world, like he doesn't understand leverage and negotiation and how dictators behave. Like what?
Right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war. But
you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
it doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what.
That wasn't with me.
That's true.
That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
But this
that was
is your,
that was with Obama.
President. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all.
Yo. Yo, okay. Shots fired at Obama. That's crazy.
All those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful. Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
Going to be a tough deal to make because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do we do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a
Why is he bringing that up? It's only tangentially related.
Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty. But you'll
Yo. But he's right there. Zelensky is not willing to negotiate. He's not. And there's no negotiating with someone who doesn't want to negotiate. Plain and simple. Now, I will say, Zelensky does have, if you want to have a long-term perspective, it does make sense to not rely on Trump's presence alone. We all know if some sort of deal goes down that Russia's not going to violate it when Trump's president. But Russia and, Lord willing, Ukraine, we'll have to see. It's looking like this is not going to be the case under Zelensky's leadership, if you can call that leadership. But Zelensky, Lord willing, will be around after Trump is gone, after Trump is out of the office. So you have to think with a long-term strategy. How does Ukraine make sure that Russia doesn't invade them after Trump is gone? Now, you could say, well, you think about that later on down the line, and I think it's probably more important right now because Ukraine is hurting, right? A lot of their soldiers are dying, a lot of their citizens have died, and they need to be able to regroup, to rebuild, to grow, and then maybe go another round if they have to, or sign some other deal. But at the end of the day, I don't know if they're going to get a better deal than this right now. But again, Zelensky doesn't want to negotiate, so tough luck.
Fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think?
We've seen enough. Dude. I there are moments in which I start believing that this man is goated. With a sauce and everything.
This is going to be great television, I will say that. All right. We'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was something else.